Worker cooperatives are highly functional, at least at a small to medium-sized business levels, with alternative systems of organization and arrangement being viable for larger businesses. But we need more data. The issue is we just need more incentive. We need tax incentives. That would be a good one. A tax incentive. Uh, or what about deferred interest payments for loans taken to start up worker cooperatives? How cool would that be? Oh, you want to take a loan out to start up a business? Okay, well, you're paying start of the year, 12 months, you're paying that interest, you know. Oh, it's a cooperative, 3 years. Even that, little change like that. Seeing those incentives, take a look at the way subsidies to certain industries really compel private investment, okay? Look at how the subsidies in green energy or to cows or the meat industry, whatever, look at how effectively it drives the attention and interest of investors. Imagine just a little incentive to start cooperatives, just a little. And there's good reason for the state to do this too. Worker cooperatives pay more to their workers, which means that the state gets more in taxes because it's much easier to tax people for personal income than businesses for business income. Additionally, because worker cooperatives pay much lower turnover rate in the first 3 years, it's less likely that the business will go out, meaning that the property that that business resides within isn't going to be empty for several months while the realtor tries to find another person to go in there and start up a business. Meaning you have a consistent flow of income, which means consistent revenue to the city, which means consistent revenue to the nation, which means consistent access and accessibility to the rest of the people in that area, depending on what the business is. There are benefits to. Am I losing you guys? Is this too much for a video game stream? It's important. This is important. No, Pareto salad. It's their resistance to price shocks, um, among a few other things. Worker cooperatives are also far more likely to have everyone take a pay cut than to fire a few people, which economically is good because taking a temporary pay cut while waiting for business to rebound is a sort of smooth and gradual economic graph, whereas maintaining standard wages but firing a few people stays consistent for the business, but then you have two people who have to go through unemployment. They have a whole you have two people who are completely ousted, you know? A burden shared is a burden halved, or in the case of some businesses, 100th between them all. Plus temporary pay cuts and co-ops are actually temporary. True! That's another thing too. In traditional businesses, when you take a temporary pay cut because times are rough right now, buddy, you're not getting that money back, okay? Worker cooperatives, you will because you vote on the policy and it's their salary too. Like if you and 10 other employees vote on one manager, the manager sets a bunch of stuff, and that manager is like, yeah, we're all taking a pay cut. And there's no reason to. You can vote them out and put another manager in who will more equitably distribute uh the profits from that business towards towards everyone else. The temporarily thing doesn't really cut. It's guys, it's almost like hundreds of years of history have shown us that democracy is a better system than outright authoritarianism with no checks and balances outside of an obligation to the stockholders to make sure you make them as much money as possible. It's almost like we solved that problem hundreds of years ago when John Locke dabbed so hard that he invented democracy, and then we just did democracy and it was better. And England was like, we're going to keep our king and queen. And America was like, no. And then we left. And then eventually England became democratic as well because we were better than them. Democratic workplaces are a good idea. What if the employees want to fire the manager for not continuing to increase wages? Then they all sink. See, many people operate under the assumption that workers are like super dumb and they would not be able to make the decisions necessary to navigate market forces while profiting from it. But in reality, if there are people who work at a worker cooperative they all have access to the sheets. They know how much money is going in and out. If they see that they're all being paid the same amount and they're barely paying rent, and they're like, I think we should be paid more. Like, they're not going to go like, yes, more, pay more. And then like 2 months later, they're on the street. Like, they will see that, you know? Will it be perfect? No. Will they make mistakes? Certainly they will. But I think they'll make fewer mistakes than autocratic businesses where there's a huge divide between the operation of the business and its actual output. And democratic business. I think there's a difference there. No changes would be needed to the U.S. Constitution for market socialism, pow pow giraffe. But eventually, look, the road we're going, constitutional amendments are the least of our problems. Okay, the path we're headed down is a dark and rocky one. Okay, it is one in which getting 2/3 of the states to ratify an amendment to the Constitution is a relatively minor. Wouldn't there need to be a revolution? Well, that is more major than a constitutional amendment. We've had, what, 20-something constitutional amendments and 0 revolutions. Ever thought about making a video talking about running a small business, change, informed your opinions and all this? Well, I don't know if it did, Tempest. I feel like I always thought this. I've just gotten better at expressing it. But I do have a video on, like, my socialism, but maybe I should update it. It's over a year old, and I'm a little bit more erudite than I was back then. Does Civil War count as a revolution? I wouldn't say so. Well, I mean, we have any successful revolutions. Someone mentioned a cooperative in India called Amul, which apparently has 3.6 million members. So it's not enough that it be a worker cooperative. It has to be a good one, because worker cooperative is a very broad term. Let me see. For this place, a dairy cooperative society, is it a worker cooperative or just a cooperative? What is the democratic structure internally? Advertising in popular culture. Do they have an article on their internal organization? White Revolution of India. To combine forces and expand the market while saving on advertising and avoid competing against each other, the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation Ltd. What does that stand for again? I forget what that stands for. An apex marketing body of these district cooperatives was set up in 1973. Wait, is this a democratic workers' cooperative, or is this just a collection of businesses? I don't think this is a workers' cooperative, guys. Yeah, no, this is just a business cooperative. This is just a bunch of associated businesses unifying under a single label. I don't think this is any more... yeah, this is a producer cooperative. I don't think this is any more pro-worker than a traditional corporation. But that's okay, I love you. It's fine. A lot of people don't know that there are other types of cooperatives apart from worker cooperatives. So when they see cooperative, they think, but no. Worker cooperative is the based cooperative.